And if you believe in yourself and you're going to follow the system and work hard, I don't know of one franchisee we've ever had that followed the system, worked hard, and they failed. And I literally don't remember one.
Welcome to the Franchise Hot Seat Podcast, where we talk about all things franchising. Now, here's your host, Dr. John P. Hayes.
Welcome to another episode of the Franchise Hot Seat. I'm John Hayes. My guest is Butch Mogavero, and we're going to talk about some of the issues that pop up when people look at buying a franchise, some of the negatives about buying a franchise. And Butch has been at this a long time. Young fellow, got his real training at the Dwyer Group, now known as Neighborly, of course. It's one of the giants in franchising worldwide. Butch has been a franchisee, now a franchisor. He's owned a lot of businesses. And one day his book will actually come out, and you'll be amazed by his background. He's also a tennis champion in his age group currently, but a dynamic franchisor, attracting a lot of people to two different brands based in Waco, Texas. Butch, welcome. I'm happy to see you again, and happy to talk to you today about some of these issues.
Thanks, John. I don't know about the champion thing, but...
Yeah, well, you're pretty good at it. But you're good at franchising as well. You have been since you were a kid, since Don Dwyer kind of found you, put his arm around you and said, let me help you out. And he did help you out. Of course, you were a franchisee of Don's concept, but then Rainbow International. But then you moved on and got into building your own businesses. You have some former Dwyer people working with you, like John Apple, who's a gem in the industry, such a gentleman. Has been selling franchises for many, many years, and Mike Hawkins, who's brilliant at doing that. And you guys make an incredible team. And I want to spend some time talking to you about what's happening today. Things have changed dramatically, and you have two businesses that almost anyone could do, really, if they want to. They're probably defined as blue-collar franchise opportunities, as all the Dwyer Group franchises would have been defined that way too, except for a period of time when Dwyer owned some accounting franchises, which took them away from the home-based type of businesses that they're so famous for now. But you got your start with Border Magic and Boulder Design, and it seems like Boulder Designs is the big one. But I want to talk about both of those, but I want to talk about them not in terms of, we want to sell you a franchise. I don't do that on this program. We want to talk to you we want to talk to people in terms of what are the objections that come up? And I don't want to do this in a salesy way, and you're not that kind of guy anyway. You're a relationship type of guy, which is why I wanted you to be on this program to talk with me about some of the issues. So talk about, what are your two brands? Let's get those out there so people know what we're talking about.
We do have two, and I guess our claim to fame is we have a product that we bought that's proprietary, and it will make concrete not crack. So it's a pretty neat deal. It makes the end product completely water resistant. Therefore, you can use it in salt water, chlorine, doesn't matter. It has no effect to it. So we can use it for diving rocks, big, huge entry rocks into a city, welcome to Nashville, whatever, all the way down to now, for the Boulder Designs anyway, now we're even doing headstones and memorials, which is taken off like crazy. We never thought about that when we first started, and now that we're into it, and because of the price of granite and marble and the time delays in even getting it, I talked to a lot of people that are over a year out for getting a headstone, and we can build one for a fraction of the cost. It looks just as good, if not better. A lot of people think they look even better. And we make it look like granite if we need to.
So Boulder Designs rocks. Your franchisees make rocks in their garage or their warehouse.
Right. All that.
Okay. So we'll hold on to that one. Let's go to Border Magic. What's that one about?
Border Magic is kind of the same concept, although it is a little bit different. The products are different because of the way it's made. Boulder Designs, you make it on a table per se, and you carve it and everything, where Border Magic is extruded out of a machine, and it goes right onto the ground. It's a continuous concrete edging that goes around your landscaping, replaces like your green metal, landscape timbers, things like that. literally lasts almost forever. We can make it look just like your house, whether it be brick, stone, any kind of finish, literally almost anything. We can make it look like tree bark if we wanted to, make it look like flagstone, marble. I mean, whatever you want, we can.
Okay. How many franchisees in Boulder Designs?
I'm going to say somewhere around 100.
Okay. And Border Magic?
Somewhere around 50. I think we're under 200. I think over 150 combined.
Okay. And some Border Magic franchisees are also Boulder Design franchisees.
Yes, sir. Originally, and it was all born in the Chicago area, central Illinois. A lot of people say, well, will it withstand the weather, the cold and everything? Well, that's about as cold a place in the United States there is, but we have it all over almost every state now, other than we need some more in New England. But again, originally, Border Magic was the parent company, and they could only do the product up until it started to snow, where got below freezing, and basically in the wintertime they had nothing to do. So Boulder Designs was a thought of, let's make address rocks. The houses we're doing the border for, we'll make address rocks in the wintertime because we do it indoors. And it just took off. We had no idea, obviously, and then I acquired it in 2008. And the guy who invented it was a really, really like a mad scientist guy, very smart, did real well, tons of respect for him, but he wasn't really fluent in franchising. And I had been in business in the past, and but had a lot of problems with the product that I had cracking. And so I found this, and they said they guarantee it not to crack. I really just called them just to let them know they're crazy. There's no way that it couldn't crack. Yeah. And they showed me as a lot of difference in what I was doing with the other company. I won't mention the name, but again, it was just a totally different process that they had, and the product they had invented did several things that the one I was with didn't do, and it made a lot of difference.
Okay, good. So I've been in franchising for a long time, and as you have, and I've known you from the time you were very young when I met you at Dwyer, and you would have said back in those days, well, I don't really have much money. And you didn't have a lot of money to invest in a franchise. And yet today, when I teach the A to Z's of buying a franchise at franchise expos and other events around the world, when I will always ask, what's wrong with franchising? Because, it is a great system. There's no doubt about it. If you want to build your own business and you want to build your personal wealth, franchising is the equalizer. Franchising is the great opportunity for the majority of people. And we could get into why that's true, but that's not where I want to go today. I always say, franchising is so great. Why aren't we all in franchising already? I'm talking to 100 people who are attending the A to Z's of buying a franchise. So I say, what's wrong with franchising? And one of the things that they'll always bring up at the top of the list, money. We don't have enough. And why do they want so much? Why do they want that franchise fee? $50,000, $40,000, $75,000 up front. Why can't I pay that over 5 years? Why do I have to pay that much? Are they just getting rich off my franchise fee? And then they want a royalty on top of that. So money is the issue that I want to talk about. And you and I know a lot of people, particularly through the Dwyer Group, who got started with not a lot of money. They borrowed money. They sold cars to get money. They traded in their life insurance for the money. They took their 401k and did a rollover. They got SBA loans. They got family loans. There are a lot of ways to get money. So when you hear, well, it's too much, money's the obstacle, what do you say about that?
I believe that's more of an excuse. I'm sure there are people that have no access to money if they've not managed their life well, and nobody would trust in them to lend them money, and that's fine. I get that. But there's not many people that I think that applied for our franchise that couldn't get it somehow. I know when I was looking at this company, even the Boulder Designs Corporation and Border Magic, my credit was pretty good. It could have been better, but it wasn't terrible. And I didn't have a lot of money in the bank by no means, less than 50 grand, I know. And I ended up buying it. I begged everybody I knew. I finally convinced a banker to take a chance on me, and he did. And it's funny, back when I borrowed that little bit compared to what now, it's funny. Once you start learning how to get money, it's easier to get $1 million sometimes than it is $100,000 or a new truck. you've shown that you're going to, pay it back. It's the bottom line. And in franchising, I just truly believe that your chances of doing well are a lot better. In my opinion, you're buying a Betty Crocker cake mix. The problem we have is the people that doesn't want to mix the ingredients right, or they want to do it themselves. They get the franchise and they think, oh, I'm smarter than them and I can do this. And a lot of times they probably are smarter than us.
Yeah.
Not in this end.
But they don't follow this is
right. And that's, if you do that, your chance of success are 10 times better.
Yeah. So let's go back to the money. I like this Boulder design concept. I think I could do this, but I don't have investment in the range of $125,000. How much is your franchise fee?
55.
Okay. And I don't have that. Or, I've got 30,000 or I got 20,000. I don't think I have enough to do this. How do I go out and raise some money? What have people done that when you talk to them about money, and how do you overcome this objection of the money?
Well, it's you just got to go out. Sometimes there's a lot of different creative ways. Banks will do a lot of the funding on the actual equipment side because there's something tangible there. The franchise fee, there's different ways of doing that. SBA is kind of my last resort just because of how long it takes. But it's the easiest way for the consumer sometimes. But there's banks you can, I always tell you the best money is just equity in your house. And a lot of times they're scared, I don't want to, put my house up. And I said, well, you're really putting yourself up, and if you believe in yourself and you're going to follow the system and work hard. I don't know of one franchisee we've ever had that followed the system, worked hard, and they failed. And I literally don't remember one. There was a lady when I first bought in, I called her, she was getting out, and I had just bought the franchise company, and I said, hey, Kathy, I understand you're leaving. I want to introduce you. My name is Butch. I'm buying the company, and just want to see why you're getting out, because it concerns me that I'm buying this and you got people that would get out. And she goes, well, the famous saying, and you've heard this a million times, you don't know my area. So I asked Kathy, I said, or I think it's Kathy, it's been a long time ago. I said, let me do this for you. I said, I don't want you to get out. I said, I am very good at doing shows and selling stuff like that off of shows, and we're pretty good at that. I'm going to pay for you a show. I'm going to fund it. You don't even have to pay me back if you don't want to. I'm going to go up to your city a day early, set your booth up. I'm going to work the booth with you for a couple of days. And then afterwards, I want to go around and talk to these different places, the golf courses, the schools, all these places that you went and they don't want to buy rocks. Don't tell me that you've never been out there trying to market. I say, because that's what it sounds like. Because everybody needs mailboxes. They need headstones. They need fire pits. There's so many things we do. I can't imagine nobody in your entire area wanting to buy anything. And what we have found out, even back when I was with the Dwyer Group, is people get a business, they think they put their name in the phone book and get rich. I said, if you can get excited about a product, it's the same thing. I'm not a great salesman. I've had people say, Butch can sell, ice to an Eskimo. I can't. If I was selling cars or anything else, I'd be broke. When I was at the Dwyer Group, I was a team leader, and they put me over another one because I did really good at Rainbow. And I just didn't believe in it at that time. And I never sold one of them in 2 years. And finally, obviously, they took me off that brand. But I just didn't believe in it compared to the Rainbow system. And once I found this, with our margins that are ridiculously good, you don't have to sell that much. But again, I always tell them, you're not selling, you're just explaining to your customer what the product is. When we have a booth in any type of show, they come to our booth. Our booth stays full all the time, and they're excited about it. So all you're doing is telling them about the product. That's it. It's not a big, we always say we don't want the carnival barkers or the used car salesman mentality. We want just a good, clean, honest person that can explain a product. That's it.
So, and when you talk about shows, you're talking about home and garden shows, for example. That's where your franchisees get their business. They can display their rocks, monument rocks, whether for graves or whether for in front of a business, the driveway of a business, the driveway of a home. You do benches, you do other products as well. So you have a nice display at a home and garden show. That's how you can get a lot of your business.
Yes, sir. And a lot of times we could even negotiate better deals for the show for our booth than others, because when you go into a show, typically you're going to have, 10 gutter companies, 10 window companies, flooring companies, roofing, but we're the only one that has these really nice concrete monuments, the Border Magic curbing. It's just really cool. We have a decanter that you can put bottles in it for like a wine dispenser. We have the really cool fencing type deal that looks like really big barbed wire between two big pillars, and everybody stops and want to get pictures with it. And then you just talk to them about it. It's very, very process. It's not like you're selling windows or flooring or anything. It kind of sells itself. I know in Waco, we haven't did one penny in marketing in the last 3 or 4 years. It's 100% referrals. And I do a lot of charity events. We'll give a charity event.
Okay.
$2,500. It costs me $200, and we do real well there.
So money is an objection for people, but it can be overcome. You've been at this a long time, as I have been. I've heard from lots of people about how they raise their money. If you really want to be in franchising, if you're committed to having your own business and building wealth, you're going to find a way to get that money. You were mentioning banks, leasing companies as well. And in your business, you need equipment, and leasing companies love franchising. And I'm sure you have some relationships with leasing companies that will provide money to your franchisees because it's based on the reputation of Boulder Design. They know that franchisees succeed in Boulder Design.
Yeah, they have a lot better chance. We have 20 person staff that is there for you every day, whether it be how to manage Google, Facebook, all the different marketing methods we use. We have people there for the technical, whatever you need is there, and you could not, for what you would pay all those different people. Franchising is a huge bargain, and these are people that are at the tops in the industry. Like you said, we've got some of the top people from the Dwyer Group, and it's not only they're good in their industry, they truly care about the franchisee. Yeah, we've had a lot of people leave graduation. A guy from New York, a guy from Oklahoma, and they both of them, they said the same thing, that y'all preached how y'all are going to help us and stay here for us, and we had no idea it was to this level. Y'all have that was true. I can tell, and they leave and they feel like it's almost a family. I don't want to get flaky like we're family thing, but it is. We truly and the people.
So that's on the support side, because that's another thing that people say is wrong with franchising. I invest all this money. They tell me they're going to be there to help me, but then I can't get them on the phone. They're too busy selling franchises someplace else. But you have been committed, and you learned this through Dwyer, because Dwyer did a great job of supporting and continues as Neighborly to do a great job of supporting franchisees. You've got to train them, and you got to provide support to them. So you make that commitment to them, that you introduce them to your home office team. You've got, as you said, about 20 people to support. So this is something that people can check out in advance. Call other franchisees and ask them, does the brand, do they provide support when you need it? And I think you get very high ratings in that. But another thing that people say is wrong with franchising is that, well, I got to sell something. I don't really want to sell. I'm not a salesperson. So I don't want to go out and knock on doors. You were talking before about going to country clubs and going to businesses that might want a rock, an address rock. Homeowners who might want a fire pit built in their backyard on their patio. So how do you get over that feeling that, I'm not a salesperson? And if you're not a salesperson, maybe this isn't what you should do, but maybe you hire somebody to be your salesperson. How critical is being a salesperson in your businesses?
I think people that think they are a salesperson don't realize that you can be. And again, I don't mean like the carnival barker. You've been to the shows where they come out in the hallway, they try to grab you. Hey, use this face stuff for your eyes, and all, they're vultures. Yeah. We don't do any of that. We have a appealing enough booth that people come to us, and then you just explain the product. And again, I'll talk to somebody, and we may go. I've coached a lot of kids and stuff all my life. I've worked with kids in a lot of different ways. So I'll talk to somebody, especially if they say, I'm not good in sales. I'll get the conversation going towards their kids, or whether they like fishing or hunting or whatever. And they talk freely, like there's no problem. They're not selling. I said, it's the same thing with the product. If you're scared to talk to somebody, well, then you probably need to not get any business. But if you're okay with talking about something that you enjoy or you believe in, it's not a sales. It's just a presentation. You're talking about a product, and you're explaining the attributes of it, what it can do for you, how come it lasts forever. And when you see people walk in our booth, they literally, their eyes light up. And if they do, that's our possibility of a prospect to own a franchise. If you walk by and you don't really care about it, you probably aren't good for us. But if we tell everybody, if you don't go home thinking about it or wake up thinking about it, again, you're probably not qualified. But if you do and you see it and then you realize how much profit's in it and it can be fun, I've done these charity events all over, even all over the country. And when you see these people, you pull up with this big boulder and they literally start crying. Sometimes they hug you. It sells itself and you don't have to do much selling.
Yeah.
And then we have a lot.
Well, that's one of the things about your business. Your products attract people. When you have a booth at a home and garden show, when you have a booth at a home and garden show, or you're at a franchise expo, people will notice your rocks immediately. They see the display, so they feel comfortable walking in to your display wherever it might be. So it's easy. Your product creates conversation. And if people, particularly if they're a D personality or an I personality on the DISC scale, and they don't mind talking to people, they like people, your product makes it easy to create those kinds of conversations. And that lends into our friend John Apple, who's been in franchising longer, I think, than I've been in franchising. John doesn't consider himself a slick salesperson. He's not. But he's sold thousands of franchises through the years by having conversations with people. And it's the same way I believe that your successful franchisees, I've met many of them, I've spoken at your conference, they don't mind talking about the product.
You don't.
I think that's an advantage.
No, you're just explaining what it does. And again, when you walk in, we've had different home and garden shows, landscape shows, call us and say, hey, we'll give you a booth and we'll even put you in front. We just need your display in the event. There's others that, they don't give it to us free, but they'll put us in a good spot because they want people to see it. If they do any type of television ads, we always are on there. I have a new in what's called Sweetwater, somewhere Oklahoma, Stillwater, Oklahoma. He just came in. He literally is finishing his training today. We had graduation yesterday because I was going to be here in Houston. And he called and said, hey, Butch, I've got a little show I can get in. This was last weekend. Hasn't even been trained. And he goes, can I just come down and get a few rocks and put in my booth? And so I did. I said, come down, get whatever you need. He came down. He had a 10 by 10, very, very small booth. Normally we do a 20 by 20. He won the booth award for the entire deal. And man, Butch, everybody, all they want to do is look at these rocks. He has a flooring company also. And he goes, nobody cares about the flooring. All they want to do is talk about these rocks. And he had like 5 rocks, not even big ones. And he goes, he goes, it's exactly what you said. People come to me wearing the carpet or windows or any of that. You have to chase them and you have a lot of competition. We don't have any competition per se.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier. And he goes, Butch, he goes, everything you told me is exactly like you said, that people come to us. We don't have to chase them.
Yeah. So another point that people will say as an objection, and this is usually a personal summation. They don't know anything about your business, so they don't have confidence that they can do your business successfully, and they don't know anything about franchising other than what they hear, maybe what they read, and there's a lack of confidence overall. Can I really do this? If I'm going to take $125,000 and put it on the line, and I'm going to give up my job, which I don't like anyway, by the way, but I'm going to, at least it pays me something every week, and I'm going to depend on myself. There is a lack of confidence in people. How do you get over that? What do you say to people about that?
Well, it's like anything else. And we tell them the first thing is they don't have to quit their job immediately. If they have any free time, they can start it part-time. We've got guys that are still in the military doing this on the weekends, making a killing. We have several border franchisees that they're booked up 2-3 months in advance. So there's not a selling process or per se, because once you start doing them, they just go. We've went in the neighborhoods and did one job and didn't leave that neighborhood for 2 or 3 months because all the neighbors had just kept going. But again, the confidence is, I think, just a matter of finding something they enjoy. If you take a guy that say a hunter, that's not a good salesman, well, talk to him about hunting and he can wear you out. I always joke, my wife, my grandkids, this business, I can just bore the hell out of you all day, because I believe in it and it's easy for me to talk about any one of them. And I think it's the same way. If you find something that you can halfway be passionate about, it's not selling. It's very easy. Again, once you get started, most of it's referrals. We have a lot of techniques to sell these that you don't even have to be face-to-face with people. Very simple ways. It's very effective. Like right now, if you looked outside your door, told me the name of the closest business you have to you, I can take with our Google Earth and our Adobe Photoshop and show you a picture of a rock sitting in front of that business in about 6 minutes. And it looks real. You have people, we'll walk up and say, hey, if you ever need a nice rock sign, here's a photo of it. I'll hand it to them, and some will even look outside and like, is that out there? And I said, no, it's just through technology, we can do that. And I, on the average, if I do 10 of them, I get 1 or 2 sales out of it. And those are things that you really don't even have to, you could just email it to them if you're that worried. And then they will call you back. Some won't, some will. And then that's the process. And then it goes from there. But when you see the excitement in their eyes, it's just an easy deal. It's not, you don't feel like you're selling, you're really explaining. And it's kind of fun.
So part of your system, you help people build that confidence. So they don't necessarily need to know how to operate the business from the beginning, because you're going to be there to support them, which is a promise of franchising overall. It's one of the reasons why people succeed in franchising. They get trained by a guiding hand, somebody who's been doing this successfully for a long time, and then the support team is there after they go home from training. And, a lot of people get flustered. They go to training, they do well, they graduate from the training program, then they go home and they lose it all. They lose their confidence. They don't remember what they learned. They don't think they can do it. The best thing for them to do is what at that point?
All us. That, the main people that fail at any business, for that matter, whether it's franchise or anything, is people that think they know how to do it all. They don't communicate. We have people that come and then they go home and we can't hear from them. We call them, they don't call. And then a year or two later, they decide to get out. And then, but the one all in, what you have to look inside yourself, and are you coachable? The best athletes on the planet all have coaches. I don't care who the golfers are, baseball, whatever. The best ones on earth all have coaches, no matter how good they are. It's the guy who knows it all, who doesn't need the coach. And you can tell they come in. And 5 years ago, if you came in and had your money, we probably were going to accept you. And we found out that didn't work. Now we vet people pretty well. And it's not, we don't vet to who's the best salesman or best looking or most money. It's really who feels, or we feel that is coachable. They could be passionate about something. And that's not your highest big time salesman like you think. A car salesman in our business, I don't know if that's our best pick. We need a person who's coachable, that enjoys a product, maybe likes working with their hands a little bit, but we don't really want them working all the time. We want them out promoting the product. And there's so many ways we do it through, like I said, the charity events. I do everything in the world with the police stations, the sheriff's departments. We just did a huge rock for the canine division at the police department. Every time there's a dog passes away, we made a big rock to put a picture of each one as they pass on it. And they had all the news stations there. They had 3 news stations, 2 papers, all kinds of, the bunch of the dogs were there, sheriffs, policemen. And we made a rock that cost us maybe $150, and it was all over the news. And you can't buy that publicity. And when you're standing there and they unveil that, it was really cool. They had a dog, they rubbed some drug odor on the tarp, and the dog actually pulled it off. And again, there was hundreds of people there, all the news stations, and that cost us maybe $150. And you could not even think of buying that kind of publicity for $150. And we do that all over. And then all of a sudden you got thousands of people that see your product. They know you're generous. And then they just start walking up to us. Hey, can you do this and this? And again, it just goes from there. And then it gets to where you're mostly in a referral situation. Now you're just product. We don't even do shows anymore in Waco where we're at. We do one home and garden show. And this last year, I didn't even use the rocks or the border in it. I put my carpet store in it because we just didn't need the business. But again.
So on this issue of confidence and having confidence that you can go build a business, you've been a teacher all your life, let's say, or you've been a handyman, on your own perhaps, or you've not had a structured type of big brand, national brand that you've been responsible for. People just don't feel comfortable that they're going to be able to transform into a business owner that's going to generate maybe $1 million, $2 million in sales over a period of time. Everybody who seems to want that, they'd love to get that out of their business, but there's that lack of confidence. We don't teach entrepreneurship. We do teach franchising now, at least at Palm Beach Atlantic University, but we don't teach a lot of the nitty-gritty across the country that people need to feel confident about being a franchisee. But there are lots of ways to overcome that. There are so many things that franchising provides that overcomes that. How do you ease that pain for people?
A lot of times it's just like you said, have them talk to other franchisees. We have one that's, I won't say where because everybody starts calling them, but in the central United States area, they come in. He was a truck driver, and he looks like a motorcycle gang type of guy, very rough, and said, Butch, he goes, I'm just making the rocks. My wife will be doing the selling. I don't, I'm not a salesman, blah, blah, blah. So I said, well, you may be surprised. So anyway, he gets to training, and he'd already sold 5 or 6 rocks before he got there. And he goes, well, no, I'm not a salesman, and I'm not going to sell them. I said, well, where did you get the 5 that you didn't sell? And he, I just started talking to people about it, and they got excited. And I said, well, Mike, you are a salesman. You just didn't know it. I said, but again, it doesn't mean you have to be the used car salesman mentality. You just have to enjoy or believe in the product, whatever it is. And when you talk to people about it, you're not selling, you're just explaining. And now he does all the sales 100%. And his wife, actually, all she does is do the internet stuff. He's not good at that. But when they go to shows, he's in the booth. He's the first one they talk to. And he goes, Butch, it's just fun. It's just easy. And he goes, and one of the other franchisees talked to him. That's where he got his confidence. And so a lot of times, we've got enough franchisees now that when we have somebody come in, we can pair them up with somebody that would be like them or have the same reservations they do, and get them with them. And they see like, man, if this guy can do it, I know I can. And it all comes down, are you coachable? A 10-year-old kid could read a cake mix, and if you follow the cake mix and you put all the ingredients and you bake it the right amount of time, you're going to get a cake. There's no way you're not.
No.
Same with this. It's the ones that don't want to follow directions, are kind of a know-it-all, and now, again, we used to not turn down very many people. We turn them down all the time, and it makes for a much better life in the franchise world. You don't have all the cancers, because as soon as they don't do well, of course, it's our fault somehow.
Yeah.
Well,
another thing that people say is they want to make money, of course, in the business, but they also want to be happy. People today want to do something that makes a difference for a customer or for a community or for the world at large, particularly the Gen Z population, the young people who I'm teaching today. They don't want a job. No. They want to make money. Of course, they need money. Everybody does. But they want to feel satisfied at the end of the day that they did something that made a difference in someone's life. That's really important. So how do you get excited about rocks? I mean, that doesn't sound like, a product that you're going to get excited about, but it's pretty easy when you see them, I think. Yeah, what do you say about that?
Have walked into our booth, or, it's funny. I bet, and I hate to say no, I bet 15 or 20 of our franchisees right now, as we speak, are people that were at a show that had booths next to us. And the last one we just got, he's down there, West Palm Beach, actually. He was one of them, has a pressure washing business. And he watched us during the whole show, and he says, Butch, every customer's going to y'all. You never stop talking the entire time. They stay there for sometimes an hour or two, and they don't even see our booth. And I said, well, it's a neat product. It kind of sells itself. And he goes, and he ended up buying one. We have several others that were in the window tinting or plumbing, whatever it may be, and they've all bought our franchise. And so a lot of them still do what they did before. This was a good add-on business for them. And they just loved it. And they said, this is the easiest thing I've ever seen. People truly get excited about it. That's, again, makes it for a lot easier sales process. I hate even calling it a sales process because it obviously it is, but it doesn't feel like it. When people, and they know you're the professional in that thing and they can ask you all these questions. Again, I can sit at a booth and watch people walk by, and I can see the second I've got a good customer, because you can just see their eyes. We have like our decanters and the fence with the big barbed wire just looks so cool. And you can just see their eyes, like women and men, old, doesn't matter. And we don't care if they're corporate type people. We've had doctors, lawyers, people that like me that very uneducated, but just had a passion. And again, it doesn't matter if you have a little bit of a passion for it and you believe in yourself, you'll be fine. We'll get you the rest of the way. So
what about the monument business? Who would have thought of that you need gravestones, and that they've become very expensive, and you got to wait a year to get one for your loved one. You don't like that. It's a very sensitive business niche to be talking about, but this was not why you got into the business of rocks, but you discovered that people need to memorialize their loved ones and they need a gravestone, and your material is perfect for that and costs less than granite or marble, and looks great. So how has that business line developed?
Originally they did mess with the headstones a little bit way back in the day, but didn't really push it. And maybe the granite was more available, 10 years ago. I'm not sure. But now what we found, and we've done a lot of research on the headstone memorial type industry, and we found that now the average headstone is $8,000 to $10,000 if you get a decent sized one. The average funeral is around $10,000 to $12,000. So a lot of people aren't even getting a headstone now, because if they do, there's no money for the service. The funeral homes don't push them that much, again, because if they sell a headstone for very much money, then again, there's no money left for the service. So a lot of them right now, a third of all people that pass don't even get a headstone, and it's because of the expense. So we started looking into it a little more, talked to some big memorial type people in the United States, and they came and visited us. Dr. Nelson, he's one from the Texas area, and he just fell in love with us. He said he actually had told us he'd come for 10 minutes, talk to us, and then leave. He was there for 3.5 hours, wouldn't leave. And the next day he had several people call me that needed big monuments done. It's all in the military area. And we called and give a bid, and one of them was $50,000-$60,000, and they said, yes, we want it. I said, well, you have any? He goes, it doesn't matter. That's a third of what we were paying for marble, and they told us it could be 1.5 years, and you're saying you can have it to us in 6 weeks. He goes, we want it. So we did it, and now all of them are buying all kinds of memorials from us. We just sold 4 more in Corpus Christi, and these are big ones. These are huge monuments. But what we found is a third of the people don't even get headstones. A lot of the people that are buying our headstones now aren't somebody that just passed away. They're people that heard about us, and they go, well, we can afford that. Even our local franchise, a lot of times they can provide financing for them, because again, it cost us about maybe 7 cents on the dollar to make one. So if they pay 20% down, they've already made a good bit of money. And then, finance them if you want, or that's up to you locally. But again, these are things that people come in for. They're not out, being sold that when somebody passes, they need a headstone. And this works good for the funeral homes. We can sell a really, really nice headstone for $5,000. That still leaves $7,000 or $8,000 for the service. And so the funeral homes love it. And they love.
So do all of your franchisees, all of your franchisees now are into the monument business? This is a new growth area that has developed in the last couple of years?
Yes, sir. We've just launched a new website, affordableheadstones.com, so they can go to it, and then we manage the sale from there. And again, it's just a neat deal. We're going to start advertising. I'm going to put about 100 headstones out at our facility and have a big sign, Affordable Headstones, stop in, financing available. And I'll bet you the day we do that, we will start selling tons of them. Right now, it's just word of mouth. Waco, we sell them almost daily now. And it's just an easy sale. You feel good about it because somebody come in that couldn't afford one and now they can. And it's just a nice deal. And they look just as good. They last just as long. And there's no reason not to get them. And again,
Well, death is a fact of life. And so in a marketing sense, this makes your business more not just recession proof, but everyone is going to die. People are going to continue dying. My generation, the baby boomers, something like every 6 or 7 minutes, one of us drops dead. Right. So it feels a little ghoulish taking advantage of death, but somebody's got to provide these services that comfort people at a time of loss. Right. So your franchisees are in that niche.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm telling you, when you pull up with some of these memorials and different things, even a rock that explains that company's, their business or whatever, people they come up and hug you. And then the neighbors see it and they want it. And we'll do a big event. Like we've got a big one that we're going to do for the guy in Oklahoma. He's in Stillwater. He's going to do a grand opening, and we'll bring a big one that's going to say, welcome to Stillwater. And Stillwater doesn't even know about this. It's going to be a surprise. It's going to be tarped up, and then we'll unveil it. There'll be newspapers there, TV stations, and then we'll have a contest on see who can guess the closest to what the rock weighs, and whoever wins gets a free address rock. Well, all this publicity around this business or whatever it may be, other companies see that, and now they have a big rock out in front of them. So now they're a landmark, and it's just an easy sell after that. Then you have other people calling. If you went and asked anybody in Waco, what's the top 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 signs in Waco, I guarantee you every single one would be ours. Nobody remembers, other than maybe McDonald's. Everybody knows what that looks like. But signs in your area, do you remember what they look like, what they are, who they are? But ask in Waco, or you walk, they know where every restoration company is that has it, bail bonds, restaurants, businesses. They say, oh yeah, it's by that rock right there by, Subway, the big rock, or the veterinarian clinic. We do real well. So again, it sells itself to a point. You have to give it a little nudge, but very, very easy process when you get.
Yeah, great. Well, you've done a great job building your businesses. I know you will continue doing so. Our students love to talk with you when you come to Palm Beach Atlantic University. We appreciate you being a member of the Titus Center Advisory Board as well. You're a great example of what franchisors should be doing for franchisees. And I've met a lot of your franchisees through the years, so I know that I'm speaking the truth because it comes directly from your franchisees. Right. And we are running out of time here, but I want to say that I've always tell people, franchising is the greatest methodology. We've not discovered another one. We don't know of another one. If you want to own a business and you want to build personal wealth, franchising is your best opportunity. But you've got to be compatible with franchising. You've got to understand franchising. Yeah, you need to have a little bit of money to get into franchising, or a lot of money in some cases. But banks and leasing companies and people in general, investors, they support franchising because of the success rate, because of the success record that so many franchise companies have. And with a franchise disclosure document, it's easy to do your due diligence, and it's easy to find out which franchise should I believe in and which franchise should I put my money in. And you make all that available, Butch, through what you do out of your headquarters in Waco, Texas. And I wish you all the best, and your franchisees all the best, and appreciate you taking some time to talk with me today.
You too, John. If there's anything we can do for you, we're always there for you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Franchise Hot Seat Podcast with Dr. John P. Hayes. Tune in next time for more conversation around all things franchising.